Examine your own feelings and speak them out. Let people know how you're feeling about what's going on. And that's not always easy. Sometimes you think my thoughts are unworthy.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Life of Dad Show. Here in the Life of Dad Show, we talk with athletes, actors, entrepreneurs, CEOs, musicians, entertainers who've all made a name for themselves, but the one thing that is most important to them is being a dad. For this week's Life of Dad Show, I'm very excited to showcase the interview I did with Sharon Hampson and Bram Morrison. These two were part of the great trio Sharon, Lois, and Bram, who brought us Skinnamarink. You know the song that you grew up with as a kid and now you're singing to your kids. We talk about their music, we talk about parenthood, we talk about a whole bunch of things. It was such an honor to have them on the show. So let's get into it. Here's my interview with Sharon Hampson and Bram Morrison. Enjoy. What's going on, everybody? Art Eddy here for the Life of Dad Show and online. I'm very happy to have Sharon Hampson and Bram Morrison. Thanks for taking the time to chat with me. How are you guys doing today?
We're great. Thank you very much.
You know, I'm a big fan. I grew up with your songs. And before we get into kind of music, and of course, Bram, before I kind of talk about fatherhood with you in a second, I got to say congratulations on your new book, Skinnamarink. The name alone just brings back memories, like I said, as for me as a kid. You guys have both said over and over that when people hear your music, they sing and dance right along when they did back in the day when you guys first started the song and just the shows and the tours. For you, Sharon, you go first, and Bram, you can kind of piggyback on her answer. But what is it about your music that moves along with all the generations?
I think the fact there are many things. It's very accessible, and it's not boring. We use lots of good musicians and lots of good arrangers, and we've selected really good music. And so I think it's kind of a high bar, and so that it really appeals to the whole family. And thus, because it appeals to the whole family, they really can share it as a family and take it into their lives and make it part of their past and their future.
You know, I've just been thinking about what makes good family entertainment. And that is things that can engage children and their parents and their grandparents equally. And my mind goes to movies. And if you think about movies like The Princess Bride, Gone with the Wind, and now like Coco.
Yep.
Oh, that's a lovely movie. I don't think Gone with the Wind is a family
No,
movie.
I didn't mean Gone with the Wind.
I thought you didn't.
No, I didn't. I was thinking about something else. Follow the Yellow Brick Road.
Oh, yes, Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, not Gone with the Wind. Then I could mention a few other things that would be even worse.
But the point is that with movies and books and music, that if it's really good, it frequently will appeal to the whole family. And that certainly was our goal.
Yeah, and I think you guys did a great job with that. And I remember when I was approached to do the interview with you guys, and of course your names brought me back. And I have my oldest daughter right now is 11, but when she was about like 3 or 4, she was in a dance class, and they did a performance to Skinnamarink. And I was just while I was crafting questions and thinking about listening back to the videos you guys have on different channels and websites. I love the fact that there are songs that I grew up with, I can share with my kids. I know when I was a kid, my parents would sing these songs to me and all that, especially maybe around bedtime or bath time. So I think you guys are spot on, and kind of going along with the book. What can fans of yours expect from this book? And of course, like I said, we'll put up links where people can purchase this book. But Bram, for you, what do you think people can expect from this book?
Well, first of all, you have to know that Skinnamarink itself is a very short song. And when the idea first came up, we were kind of hard-pressed about how to make that short song into a full-size book. But as we talked about it, Randy Hampson, who's Sharon's daughter, said, well, let me have a hand at it. And she wrote an introduction and a number of verses, all of which land back on the part that everybody knows, until it is the size of a full book. Combine that with some wonderful illustrations by Chen Ling, which are so full of variety of both people and animals and people of different colors and persuasions and sexual orientation, everything. Somebody said it's kind of like a Where's Waldo? There's something happening at every corner of every page, and you don't see it first time around. It takes 10, 15, 20, 100 readings.
Yes, yes. I mean, Bram's done a lovely description of the book. We're very proud of it. We worked for a very long time on it because we wanted it to reflect all the things that Bram has described. We wanted every child who looks at that book to see herself or himself in the book and in the illustrations and in the story. And I think hopefully, I believe we've accomplished that. And we're starting to read wonderful reviews of the book. So the people who are looking at it are loving it. And it's a beloved song. And so people can read it, they can sing it, they can find all the little surprises in the illustrations, as Bram has indicated. So we're very proud of it. It's really a wonderful piece of work, I think.
Nice. Yeah, I can't wait to check out this book. And you both, and of course the late Lois Lindstein, have had successful TV shows, records, and tours. Sharon, this goes to you first. What are you most proud of in your careers throughout the time that you guys have been doing this together?
I think it was our goal to choose and provide a wonderful variety of music to children and their families. And I think we did quite well doing that. And when you tell me that songs that you grew up with your family, you now share or have shared with your younger family, I feel like that's the great accomplishment, because we hope that when we introduce music to families, that they would take it into their lives and have it forever. And when I hear about families sharing with the next generation, I know that's a success story.
Well, I was going to say that when we chose songs to do, right from the very beginning, we avoided trendy. We wanted to choose songs that would be appealing across the generations. Folk songs are very, very much in that category. And we realized that if you're 3 years old and you hear She'll Be Coming Round the Mountain When She Comes for the first time, the song may be 150 years old, but to them, that's a brand new song.
Yeah.
And the sense of wonder stays.
So generation after generation, hopefully I believe we've chosen music that works in that way, that stays with people and that's new and lovely to the new generations.
I love it. Thanks so much for sharing that. And I think every generation has the idea that their kid's generation grows up way too fast. I know my parents, I've heard them saying that to me, and now when I look at my kids and their generation and what, not I want to say exposed to, but what, things are around them in their environment. And of course, as parents, we can determine what they can or can't do at that point, depending on their ages and all that. But for you, what's your take on, we're talking about timeless music and always, sharing of stuff, but what is your take on the way, maybe my kid's generation is growing up and that is different from maybe when you first started out? This can go to you, Bram, and of course, Sharon, you can follow up.
We've thought about that a lot, and we've been asked the same question. And one of the things that we've found out, no matter what the current play activity, other than us, that kids have, now it's mostly screen-based, whether it's electronic games or communications of various kinds through screens, which is very different from what things were like when we were young. Once they get into our company, when we were doing concerts and people got there, it didn't matter. They were the same children. Once they realized that they were into a whole different world, they didn't need their phone or their computer, that they were there to sing along with us and their parents and grandparents. It's as if it was the same year that we started.
And that's a great comfort because, we see young people involved with technology in ways, as Bram said, we didn't see previously. But when they come into the concert hall, they're with us. They're behaving, as he said, they're behaving exactly the same as they always have. So it's encouraging to think we're inviting you to sing along with us, to join in and sing and have fun and stand up and sit down. And they do all of that. So some things have remained the same, and there's a comfort in that.
I totally agree. And again, I think kind of harkens to the great music that you guys have done and you guys share when you're on tour and just when people kind of check out the book and just things in general that you guys produce. I think, when you put out positivity in the world, it'll come back to you tenfold. What are some surreal moments that you've had in your careers?
Yeah, it's hard to narrow it down because there are so many wonderful moments. I mean,
Sure.
a wonderful moment for me and was it playing at the big famous concert hall here in Toronto with a symphony orchestra, and knowing that I had gone to that hall to see performances when I was a kid, or that I'd play there with my high school orchestra when I was a teenager, things like that are so significant. But also there's meeting people who tell you, and that happens often, people who have told us over and over how we impacted their lives. And often it's someone who's had a tough start and, the family life wasn't so very good, but they would retreat to the bedroom and listen to the music, and the music carried them through the hard times. Those are the very, very special moments. And they happen not infrequently. So it's very gratifying to know that as well as providing fun and good times to a large audience, we also helped people get through the tough times.
What I love, among many things, is the honesty of children. They don't edit the way adults do. They don't change the way they are by who they're with. So at one point in the concert, I was talking about a song that had just finished, and I said, boy, I really loved that one. And a little 5-year-old voice from the hall called, I hated it.
I love that. That's a pretty favorite story for all of us.
Yeah.
And the thing about the two of us and the three of us is that people who meet us and met us said, you're the same people on the stage, off the stage, on television, in real life. You are the same people. And I think that's a great compliment to us.
For sure.
And so if we made mistakes on the stage, we laughed. We weren't embarrassed and tried to hide the fact that we'd make a mistake. We entertained ourselves sometimes by saying, "Oh dear, that was pretty silly." And
you start in the wrong key, and I'm playing in a different key from the band. The only thing you can do is laugh your head off and start again properly, and it's great. That's fine. And I said in a concert not all that long ago, I said, listen, boys and girls, something you need to learn from this is that even grown-ups make mistakes.
And it's okay to make a mistake, and it's okay to acknowledge it, and kids see, so they don't feel so badly about mistakes. Yes. They understand that you learn from them.
Yes. I got to say, though, Sharon, like that, I think one of the biggest compliments, and I agreed with you while you were saying it, but I just kind of want to reiterate, and I've talked to a bunch of people on TV, athletes, CEOs, and when someone says, like, I love the fact that what people say, like, oh, you're the same way I see you on TV, or, the way you're being interviewed, when I talk to you, you're the same. So I think that just kind of shows, just be yourself, and it may be cliche, but I think especially as parents, you want to relay that message to your kids, is just be yourself and be genuine. And I think you guys had so much success because what you just said, and two, your biggest audience are kids, and they know when someone's faking, right? I love that.
The kids know. They are the first ones to identify someone who's putting it on for them.
Yep.
And they don't have time for it.
Yeah. What drew you into music? Like, what was your inspiration? Was there a teacher? Was there songs? Was there a moment in your life where you're like, I want to have my career be involved with music? I
grew up in a community from the time that I was very young, a community of friends, people who sang. We sang folk songs, we sang union songs and peace songs, and and I grew up in that environment where singing together was just a regular thing. And I fell into that environment, and I loved it, and it just became a way of life for me, and I belonged in that kind of environment. So, I've always sung. I've never not sung, and it was the place where I really belonged. And also when I was a youngster, like in grade school, maybe in grade 6 or grade 7, I was the person that the kindergarten teacher would call on to help her on her break, or when she was taking the class for a picnic or stuff like that. So I belonged with young children from an early time as well. So the combination of music and children was very significant for me and very much part of my early life. Bram and I have recorded a number of new songs. It's kind of a significant moment for us because we had recorded considerably through the earlier part of our career with Lois. We recorded for records and CDs and TV shows and all of that. And then when Lois retired 20 plus years ago, and Bram and I continued, we did not do any new recording until this past year. And the songs that we've recorded came from a dad. They came from my husband, Joe, and his daughter, Randy, is the person who wrote all the new words for the Skinnamarink book and who has spearheaded a lot of the recording.
Now, here at Life of Dad, we love getting everybody's take on fatherhood. So for you, Bram, talk about what popped into your mind when you found out you're going to be a dad for the first time.
Well, my story is different from most because my first wife, my late first wife, Ruth, was 8 years older than me. We were friends for many years before we thought about getting married. She was a young widow when I met her first with young children. And when we got married, I adopted both of her children on the same day, and they were both adults. So my fatherhood was before we were married. They grew up with me around, but not legally their dad. And then after we were married, they were adults too. And so I didn't have the same kind of experience in the bathtub, so to speak, with them that a lot of people do, or sharing pets, or that kind of thing. It was coming in from a different direction. And it was at a point where I could learn as much from them as they could learn from me.
That's great. I think there are dads out here listening to this that can have similar stories with you, Bram. So again, I appreciate that. And talk about some of the core values that you were looking to instill into your children as they were growing up.
To examine your own feelings and speak them out.
Oh, nice.
Let people know how you're feeling about what's going on. And that's not always easy. Sometimes you think my thoughts are unworthy and don't need to be shared. And what happens if that goes on for too long, things get bottled up and you get stressed. And that plays havoc with the relationship. The open communication relationship is the best. And you don't automatically know that necessarily. Somebody's got to help you along. And I didn't know it at the beginning, but being involved with Ruth and her children, that taught me. I love that.
And I think also, if I might interject,
for sure,
some of the learning that goes on in parenting has a lot to do with how people treat each other.
Yeah.
And Bram and Ruth's relationship would be a reflection of that, but also what the kids who were then, who were younger and then older, saw in terms of Bram's work, in the bigger picture of how people treat each other. Because after all, when we worked on television, we were dealing with children all the time.
Yeah.
And how we treated them, it was significant. The fact that we liked them, that we listened to them, that they had important things to say, and we were interested in hearing what they were. Those are all lessons that our children learned from watching us in the way we carried on professionally.
Yeah, totally agree, Sharon. Thanks very much for that. Now we're going to finish off with a Life of Dad Quick 5. Favorite family movie in the household is?
Family movie? Mm-hmm. I think I would have to say The Princess Bride.
Yeah, my family also. My daughter knows, I think, every line from that movie. We cite them to you.
That's great. And this is probably hitting close to home for this question right here. Favorite family song, or is there a band or an artist you couldn't wait to introduce your kids to when they got older?
Boy, when I was a teenager, I was not. I didn't have a musical background the way Sharon did. I came to it later on, and I grew up with Top 10, and I liked it. I mean, I liked Elvis, and I liked all those who were singing rock and roll in those early years. But then I started hearing folk music, and I thought, my goodness, this is really simple, and it's direct, and I can do that. And I did. And it was like a whole world opening up to me that I thought that I didn't know existed.
And of course, your son Jeff plays music, loves
and
music.
So does my brother Jeff play music. Everybody plays music.
So does his grandson Jeff. My daughter plays music. My grandson plays music. I mean, our lives are full of people who love making music and listening to music. Lucky us.
Yeah, for sure. Describe the perfect family vacation. Where would it be?
For me, it would be Africa.
Nice.
Africa and animals. Bram and I have both done that with our spouses, and I've also done it with my children and grandchildren. That's just heaven.
Nice.
I think any place that young children can play freely without fear of running in front of a car.
Mm-hmm. Or an elephant.
Or an elephant. But feel free to run.
Yeah.
And to hide. And to just be themselves and let the parents be the same with them, so that the age difference kind of melts away.
For sure. What's the best thing about being a grandparent over a parent?
You get to go home when you're tired, and
nice.
I being a grandparent is divine. There's nothing so spectacular as that. When you're a parent, you're working hard, taking care of the kids, making ends meet, doing all of that stuff. But as a grandparent, that's someone else's job, and you just get to have the fun together.
Well, there's the old saying that your children and your grandchildren are your arrow into the future.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That's nice.
That's great.
And when you think about that your own lifespan is limited. Everybody's going to die. But there are people who will carry your memory alive after you're gone. And we're especially lucky because of the nature of our career, we've left a legacy of music, both in CDs and in television, that will live beyond us. And that's a very, very wonderful and rare thing that we have.
I like that phrase with the arrow. That's fantastic. And lastly, what are the 3 top words you hope your kids would use to describe you as a parent?
Well, it comes right from the song. I love you.
Yes. Description as a parent, I would say kind, fair, and loving.
Perfect. Very cool. People, make sure you follow Bram and Sharon on Twitter at Sharon and Bram, and also go to pick up their book at Skinnamarink, wherever books are sold, and of course put up links on where you guys can purchase that book. It's been an honor, Sharon and Bram, for you guys taking the time out of your schedule to chat with me. Like I said, big fans of yours growing up, and being able to share that with my daughters is just a treat in itself. But again, it was a real honor to chat with you, and again, continued success in the future, and I can't wait for people to listen to the new music.
Thank you very much. A pleasure to talk to you, too. Thank you.
You're welcome. You take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for listening to the Life of Dad show. You know where to find us, lifeofdad.com, and on Twitter and Facebook.
Noise you couldn't quite locate or explain. Couldn't quite